Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's another rainy day here in Southern California, so you know what that means. Another video from Bash Energy. My name is Patrick. I'm the CEO and founder of Bash Energy. And when it rains, we're not on the roof, so we got a little bit of time to sit down and chat about the industry. Topic for today is important. It doesn't get talked about enough, and I think the reason it doesn't get talked about enough is because it's kind of a dirty secret in the industry, and I wish it wasn't. So let's talk about taxes. Let's talk about that federal tax rebate. You'd love to see it. It's in all the ads. Every company out there will tell you about the 30% that the government's going to pick up for you. The problem is it's not actually a rebate. It's a tax credit. And so if you don't know how that works, I'll run you through it real quick. Essentially, you have to pay taxes to utilize the tax credit. So it works like a check that you're writing to the government, or they'll write you a check if you paid it throughout the year. So if you're a W-2 employee and you've been paying your taxes throughout the year, they've been taking taxes out of your check. When you go to file taxes, as long as it's more than the 30%, you'll get that money back, and you'll actually be able to take advantage of that 30% credit. If you're somebody who pays taxes every year, so if you're a business owner, if you're somebody who just claims 10 exemptions or something like that, and you're used to having to write a check at the end of the year, you will get the benefit. So you won't have to pay anything. Or you'll have to pay, less whatever that 30% is, right? So if you buy a solar system that's $30,000, math terms, I think it's at $9,000 is the 30% from $30,000. So you would get a $9,000 credit. Again, if you're a W-2 employee, you pay throughout the year, you will get $9,000 back. If you are somebody who pays taxes, then you'll pay $9,000 less, or somewhere there in between. The reason that is so important is because when you're buying a solar system and you're not paying cash, you're taking advantage of a loan. Most of the loans out there, I want to say like 95% of them, have a balloon payment between 15 and 18 months usually. So you'll get your initial payment, and let's say that payment's $250, and you're used to paying the utility $400. That's a great deal. You're super excited about that. What a lot of reps don't tell you, and it's super unfortunate, is that when you get to month 19, usually, they expect you to make a balloon payment in the amount of that tax credit. So if you get the tax credit and you know that you have to pay that, everything's fine. You file your taxes, you have a year and a half to do it. Obviously, it's month 18. You get back that 30%. You simply make an additional payment to the lender, and you get to keep that nice $250 payment. Unfortunately, that information isn't coming across to people, and I know that because when you talk to lenders, only 40% of the people that take these loans are making that balloon payment. So across the board, across the country, 40% of people who are taking out these loans, and I assume expect to keep that smaller payment, are either keeping the tax credit, which is fine, or they're not able to get it, or they didn't know that they were supposed to pay it back. And they're being shifted in month 19 from that lower payment to the higher payment. So you're a year and a half into your solar payments, and that nice $250 payment jumps up to $400. And you're frantic. You're calling everybody trying to figure out what the hell happened. And it's right there in your contract, but nobody told you. Those contracts are, 65 pages. So not everybody is super clear on how that works. Now, if you are somebody who is elderly and you don't have regular tax liability anymore, or you don't have that amount, you're not going to get back that credit. The other people that don't get it are people that aren't employed, right? If you don't have any income at all, you're not going to get it. Sometimes I have people who are business owners that have a ton of write-offs. I had a client who is someone I really like, who is really knowledgeable about this kind of stuff. We went over it in great detail, and he owns a couple businesses, very successful. He's got a ton of write-offs already. He reviewed it with his CPA, and it didn't make sense. It didn't pencil out. So we decided, that it wasn't a good fit for him, and solar's not a good fit for everybody. It's a good fit for most people, but not everybody. So if you don't have income, you don't get the tax credit, long story short. Now, I tell you all that to tell you about the customer. I usually relate these stories back to somebody I'm working with. I'll tell you, I have this elderly lady who I love. She's a wonderful person. And I was working with her, couple weeks ago, probably a month ago now. And this doesn't happen all the time, but in this case, I wasn't the best option. So of course at Bash Energy, we recommend that you get 3 bids. If I'm the first bid or the last bid, I don't care. You need to get at least 3 bids to make sure that you're getting a good deal. Make sure that you're getting the right situation for your situation, right? We're all a little bit different. Now sometimes I'm not the best fit, and that was the case here. So with this client, she had me look over the different options with her, and you guys have probably heard me say it before. Sunrun is a great company. I'm a big fan. I used to sell their product years ago. They have a PPA, a power purchase agreement product, that is a great fit for a lot of people, and that was one of her options. Now, because she wasn't getting the tax credit, this made sense for her. So the way a PPA works is if you're not somebody who's going to benefit from the tax credit, so buying a system doesn't make sense, you can get a power purchase agreement where Sunrun owns the equipment, you let them use your roof, so they put the power plant on your roof, the solar system, and it creates a certain amount of power, and you're simply agreeing to buy the amount of power that it creates. So you don't pay anything to put the system on, and the best part, in my opinion, is if anything happens to it, for the full 25 years it's up there, they come out and take care of it immediately. It costs you nothing because it's their equipment, and they have to produce a certain amount of power, and if they don't, at the end of the year, they have to cut you a check to cover, presumably, what you've had to pay to the utility. So in my experience, if your inverter goes out or a panel goes out or it's underperforming, anything like that, they rush out fairly quickly, usually within a week or two. They get it fixed, they monitor your situation very closely, and they communicate very well, and you're good to go. Now, because they're keeping the 30%, the rates are very low. So you're usually paying anywhere between 16 to 20 cents per kilowatt hour. It's fantastic. Purchasing is still better if you're able to get the tax credit, take advantage of the tax benefits. But if you can't, PPAs are fantastic. So that was the case with this lady. This lady had a bid from Sunrun. After looking it over, I said, ma'am, I don't have the best deal for you. I want you to, I asked, what kind of vibe did you get from this guy? Was it a good vibe? She said, yes. That's important, right? You want to go with your gut, make sure that you feel like you can trust the person you're working with. She said yes. I said go with it. And so I became an advisor of sorts, which is one of my favorite positions. There's plenty of business in the industry. I don't need to get every deal. I enjoy being an advisor for people because it takes the pressure off. There's no reason for them not to trust the information I'm giving them, which it's always the same information. Obviously, we're always honest. But when you're the salesperson, there's that conflict of interest. When you're not the salesperson, you're just their friend, and I really, really enjoy that. And the benefit to us, obviously, is we have a good name in the industry, and some of those clients that I've been an advisor for that I didn't get their business were some of my best referral sources after the fact. So, obviously, we get something out of it, which is nice. We don't need to, but I'll take it. Now, in this case, I was able to help her negotiate her rate down a little bit. She had an escalator in place when she started, so it was 3.99, meaning her rate would go up 4% every year. I talked to her about it, and she negotiated that down to no escalator. So, this lady is going to pay, I think it was 18 cents per kilowatt hour for the next 25 years and not have to do anything else. That's a fantastic deal. Utilities in our area are charging between 45 and 65 cents per kilowatt hour, and that goes up anywhere between 10 to 15% per year in our area. So really was a very good deal. I was happy that she signed up with it. Now, I tell you all that to tell you this. She called me a couple nights ago frantic because she got a call from another company who was offering her a crazy low rate, like 12 cents per kilowatt hour. And she said, Patrick, I got to take this. I want you to look at this with me, but man, oh man, I can't pass this up. And they seem to know a lot about the deal, and I'll tell you why. There are companies out there who I'm not a big fan of. They tend to lowball contracts because they find out that you've got a permit in place. So what they do is, permit listings, county by county and city by city, are public information. So there are companies out there that will look through those lists, find those people, and they'll go knock on their doors. So they'll call them and say, hey, I noticed you're looking into solar, and they'll underball the heck out of the contract. And the problem with that, I don't have a problem with anybody getting a better deal. The problem is it's hard to get numbers that low. So it usually means they're doing something that's questionable. Maybe their product isn't as good, or maybe they kind of bait and switch on what they're offering you. Maybe they show up on installation day, those aren't the panels that they talked about. maybe the system size is a little smaller than what you agreed to. Maybe the installers, are working for half as much because they're not well trained. There's a million different things that I've seen happen. But if it's a good deal, you got to take it. So I said, listen, let's take a look. Send it over to me. And immediately when I looked at it, the problem was glaring. It was a purchase. It was a purchase, and it depended on her getting that tax credit. So I got her back on the phone and I said, listen, this says very clearly on here that it's 24 cents per kilowatt hour. It's twice as much. If you don't get that tax credit, this depends on you getting a tax credit. We already looked at your situation. You're not going to get it. If this was the case, I would have done the business with you. You're not going to get the tax credit. Now, unfortunately, this guy was very smooth, very slick. Obviously, he had charmed her a little bit and convinced her that she was going to get the tax credit. And not only that, she wasn't going to have to do anything. So he told her that it just works itself out. The lender just works with the government and they make that payment for you and it's no problem, which obviously is a huge lie. I'd like to think that maybe she misunderstood him, because I like to think the best of people, but probably not, right? He probably lied to her, which is really unfortunate. But she was really needed. She's on fixed income. She needed to get the best deal she possibly could, which I completely understood. So what I did was I reached out to a friend of mine who's a CPA, works with solar situations specifically, and because he feels the same way I do about people taking advantage of people, he talked to her pro bono for free and looked over her situation, was able to explain to her that, yes, indeed, I was correct. She's not going to get the tax benefit. She doesn't have any taxable income, and this wasn't going to be a good deal for her. And of course, she would have to file all the paperwork. It's not something that someone else was going to do for her. She was going to have to do it all. So, armed with that information, and me, honestly, there to help her, she was able to turn this guy away, and we protected somebody else. But unfortunately, not everybody has an advisor to help you in that situation. So my advice is be knowledgeable, right? Understand how the tax code works. Make sure you're working with somebody who understands how it works. If they don't, or if they make something sound too easy or too good to be true, guess what? It probably is. And if you can, get an advisor. Get 3 bids. And ask questions with the guys that don't get the business. If they're good at what they do, they'll keep helping you. We don't mind. I'm Patrick with Bash Energy. I'd be happy to be that guy for you. If you have a contract in place, feel free to reach out to me and ask me all the questions you have. Comment down below. It's Patrick at bashenergy.us or www.bashenergy.us. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.